Welcome to EnduringTechnologyPress.com. I'm Eric, and I'm out here welding up some stainless steel for stainless steel apple grinder to go with our cider press. And so I'm using, this is actually a Dillon, but it also goes by the name of Henrob, Cobra, or I think it's now DHC 2000. They're all the same torch. Good time to do my review for the torch. I've had it for about 20 years now, and it's a little bit different than most of the torches you get. This is more of a conventional type torch, and often, if you picture it, it's got the cutting attachment on it, right, and you've got the shower of sparks every time you squeeze the grip. This one is right now it's set up for welding. It's got obviously it's more of a pistol grip design with your valves down there. So a little bit of a different handhold. You can set it up for cutting. You have to take this out, and then you can do an overcutter or undercutter, and then you've got your trigger here for your extra oxygen. But within the handle, it has a pre-mixing chamber, and this is reputed to give it about 60% more efficiency. You know, I started with this one, and it looks pretty new because I just took it out of the box where it's been for a couple decades, I guess, because it is pretty new. That'll go through gas fairly quickly, and around here, if you buy the bottles, usually you can only get the B-sized bottles from the major gas suppliers. I've also got some bottles from Tractor Supply Company, and they'll sell you the next size up. But otherwise, you're fairly gas constrained, which is all right if you're doing a hobby type thing. A couple B bottles and a cylinder of oxygen will last a long time. But picked this up originally in part because I wanted an oxyacetylene torch. It was also capable of doing really nice cutting. That was before I had a plasma torch. And it's true, this does take a little bit of getting used to, but it does cut very nicely. I haven't used it for cutting since I got my plasma torch. Haven't had the need to go beyond the half-inch that plasma torch is capable of cutting, so I haven't had to pull this out again. I have used it for a lot of welding though, and it is beautiful for welding. I think this is probably the Zen of the welders. It is incredibly relaxing. Once you've got a hang of it, it's easy to use. On sheet steel, on stainless, it is a real pleasure to use. It's just something that you can go and relax. You know, if you're running arc welding, you know, it's much faster, much more performance oriented, but it takes a lot more attention to get it down. And there's, at least with stick arc welding, a little bit more of a learning curve. This has a very light learning curve. And I find it's really efficient on gas too. Would it be the first welder I got? No, I'd still recommend that if you're going to, well, it wasn't my first welder, if you're going to get a welder and you don't have one yet, get a wire feed welder. Those are great, and it's one of the top tools that I recommend. This is probably the next one, maybe an arc, depending on what sort of weight of material you're using. It's really versatile. You can use it for a lot of heating things. You know, taking a brake bleeder, loosening that screw on my truck a month or so ago saved me $90. So you can use a lot of gas, pay for itself with things like that, or welding stainless steel projects with regular cheap oxygen and acetylene. In terms of the handhold, I've gotten used to it, so I tend to like this more than this torch style. I don't know, the pistol grip just feels very nice, very manipulable. But if you've learned on the other style, it might be a little bit different. You know, in terms of capacity, probably if you had one of the midget torches, you're looking at similar capacity on the low end. And I use a lot of the low end is what I really like. Flame velocity is very low, it's very friendly. A couple other reasons I really like it. Here in Canada it gets cold, as it would in the northern states or northern places or southern places closer to the poles. If I want to go weld something quickly, and I put on my full face visor with arc welding or the MIG welding, I'll quickly develop condensation inside of it, even if it's been brought inside to warm up. And that really slows down your pace of welding. It's not ideal by any shot. So this is what I tend to use in the winter because you've got it just over your eyes, or you can have a pair of glasses. Very easy. Also in the summer, you might see I'm wearing shorts. You know, not ideal safety wear, but I'm certainly much more comfortable doing that with this than I would be where you've got the risk of arc burns from arc welding, right? And this is also much more controllable. You get less splatter and all the rest. Maybe not the best safety practice, definitely not the best safety practice, but it's an acceptable risk in my view for myself anyway. It makes summer welding a lot easier. Do a lot of sheet welding on the truck, very easy to do, very relaxing. Coat hangers are dirt cheap. You pay for it a little bit in the gas compared to arc welding or something like that, or MIG, but all around I think this is a great tool. They're not cheap, and actually I use my regulators out of my original oxyacetylene kit. And I think that probably even now it makes more sense to buy a kit like this. Get your hose, get your regulators from Harbor Freight or Princess Auto, one of those discounters. Use those. You know, I'm sure that their Cobra's low pressure gauges are awesome. I use the higher ones, and it take a long time, I think, to recoup the amount of money you spend on those versus the gas savings. There's probably a little bit of gas savings, but I haven't found a big deal to adjust them. You're just using the regular ones. So really great tool. Particularly enjoying it for stainless steel and the capacity that it gives me there. Whether it's building the wood-fired barbecue oven, pizza oven, or now our stainless steel apple grinder to go with our cider press. So a lot of things that you can do with it. Something to consider when you're looking for welding equipment. Not your first way to get introduced to welding, but certainly an awesome one. I guess that's the other point too. With my kids, this will be their first introduction to welding. It's a lot safer, a lot easier, a lot more comfortable than using those arc methods where there's higher level of risk and also higher level of stress. This really is the zen of welders. So consider picking one up, whether it's a used one that's marked up as Dillon or Henrob or Cobra, or one of the ones right from the DHC website. So for more on the welder, other tools, and more tips and tricks to empower your independence, go to EnduringTechnologyPress.com. Thanks.